Hello everyone and welcome to part 7 of my Tsukihime, A Piece of Blue Glass Moon dramatic reading. Last we left off, we kind of left off at a rough spot. Shiki had just encountered a mysterious vampire who he had killed the previous day, and who seems to be soliciting him to enter some type of deal where he would act as a human shield in return for having killed her. Despite the fact that she seems to be standing before him. And before he could answer yes or no, a black panther, literal black panther, attacked the both of them. And I had to stop the previous part because my throat was all messed up because I had been doing too many dramatic readings in a row. So it's kind of a weird spot that we left off on. So that's where we'll be then. For those of you who are not aware, my name is BerserkChip. What I do is I take visual novels and I dramatically read them back to you, much in the same way as like an audiobook. If you've ever seen Jim Dale's audiobook of the Harry Potter books, it's very similar in that vein. Or if you've ever seen like a radio play, like the old Lord of the Rings radio plays or something like that. Or if you've ever seen sort of similar to like the comic story. I kind of do something similar to that, but instead of abridging it, I read it in its entirety. If you don't like, if you prefer Japanese voice acting, or if you prefer like the visual novel undistilled by performance or whatever, that's perfectly fine. Please go purchase the official release and support it that way. What I'm doing here is a little bit more transformative in that respect. So, with that having been said, let us continue. Hey, is that someone you know? Of course not. I couldn't help but snap back at her stupid comment. I really am an idiot. With my voice as a signal, the panther leaps. Or rather, it runs. It's just so fast that my brain couldn't even understand that it wasn't leaping. There's nothing I can do. The Black Panther sinks its fangs into my shoulder before I'm even finished processing its initial movement. Even though I could see it coming. Even though I knew it was about to happen, I couldn't avoid it. I didn't even get a chance to think about avoiding it. Except, the impact I feel is on my side. Before the black shadow is able to take a bite out of me, I'm flung away by the woman in white. She does it with one hand like it's nothing. As soon as her hand touches my side, I'm sent flying toward the wall, as though she'd thrown me like a ball. Ouch! I endure the pain of having my back slammed into the wall. What are you? Never mind that, look in front of you! The woman shouts. Looking over, I see that even though it missed me, the panther didn't crash into the wall. Instead, it abruptly pivoted, planted all fours on the wall, and leapt across to the wall on the other side. Just a second. It's really loud in my ear for some reason. Okay. The black mass clings to the side of the building. Just as I think the panther has come to a stop on the wall, it once again turns its gleaming eyes on me. I gasp at the split-second exchange. The panther leaps off the wall as fast as a bolt of lightning. Jumping to get in its line of fire, the woman in white flicks the lightning away with one hand. What's frightening is, her leap looked so effortless. The fact that she moved even faster than that Black Panther, yet still made it seem easy, really rubs me the wrong way. Hey, I got to him first, okay? If you don't back off, I'll really kill you. Her attitude hasn't changed one bit. The panther growls menacingly, but keeps a careful distance from the woman. The distance between them is about 3 meters. The panther doesn't make any attempt to close the gap. It must understand the difference in ability between the two of them. That panther is indeed a monster to humans. Any human that's unlucky enough to cross paths with it is doomed to die. But that woman is on another level. She's a monster to monsters. Any monster that comes face to face with her has no choice but to accept its death. The panther motionlessly observes the woman. Even I can grasp the difference in power between them. From the perspective of a wild predator, it must be like suddenly running up against a massive wall. I'll hear you out later, so don't get in my way. The woman's attitude changes. Her expression, which hadn't changed even when she was confronted by that black beast, becomes noticeably more alert. People? As best as I can tell, they're just passerby. They slowly make their way through the dark passages in between the buildings and out into the alleyway. No, don't come any closer! There's a panther! I was about to say there's a panther here, when a red numbness flashes across my eyeballs. I reach under my glasses and rub my eyes. Just now. Oh shit! I could have sworn I saw something atrocious. They don't stop. They have neither the feral instincts nor the pride of the panther. They continue to shuffle forward, indifferent to what the woman in white in front of them is, even though they know they'll be torn to shreds if they take even just a few more steps. After all, there are no brains inside these things. They don't have hearts that can feel fear. You couldn't even say these things are really alive. They're burning. Black smoke is billowing out of their eyes and mouths, and yet they move. They're dead. Those are dead people. Their hands, outstretched as though seeking salvation, spill forth with waste oil. As soon as the spilled oil hits the road, it extends a tongue of flame. Even at a distance, I can understand that fluid is stagnant blood. What is this? A new species? The woman in white is completely transfixed by those things. Of the 3 corpses, 2 reach out for her. As I stand there dumbfounded, the other one, shaking violently, turns its head toward me, flames spilling from its eye sockets. I'm done for. The black beast isn't going to let this opportunity to go in for the kill go to waste. Its charge is even faster than the leap it made earlier. This time I can't even perceive it. The panther bowls into me and locks its fangs around my neck. My neck feels tight. It feels like it's pressed against the back of my neck. Wait. Is it latched onto the collar of my school uniform? Ah! I'm thrown up against a wall yet again. It's another corner of the back alley. The panther drags me here like I'm a sack of garbage. You! Stop treating people like they're garbage! What am I doing? I can't believe I'm complaining to the panther that dragged me here. Fortunately, the panther doesn't stick around. Most likely it doesn't have time to care about me. Hiding behind some scrap wood, I straighten myself up and look over at the woman. The smoldering corpses have finally reached the line the panther never dared cross, 3 meters from the woman in white. In an instant, I could have sworn the atmosphere itself let out a scream. The airflow generated by the movement of the woman's arms is like a shovel of a bulldozer, obliterating the 3 walking corpses without a trace. I'm attacked by a headache. It feels like tiny pins and needles are whirling around in my eye sockets. It is as though this red pain is trying to blot out the scene I had just witnessed. I just wasted even more energy. The woman turns back to me, her shoulders slumped in disappointment. It seems that she never had any real interest in the corpses that have just vanished. This is all thanks to your dawdling. If you had decided sooner, they never would have found us in the first place. The woman briskly walks over to where I'm sprawled on the floor. The Black Panther has already slunk off somewhere. Maybe it saw what she just did, decided it was no match for her, and ran away. Hey, what just happened? A headache throbs right behind my eyeballs. The pain cutting through my skull has disrupted the language center of my brain. What the hell is this woman? You mean those things? They were just some dead, right? They're familiars that belong to the enemy vampire. Those ones are a bit unusual, or rather, I've never seen that type before. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about you. The piercing headache urges me to come to my senses. This woman is a monster. The Black Panther that sticks out like a sore thumb in a modern city, even those impossibly burning corpses. They both seem all but believable when compared to this woman. Creating a tornado by simply waving her arms? That's ridiculous. A fragile human being like me can't stick around with something that dangerous, even for a second. Me? I already told you that I'm a vampire. Wait, are you telling me that you don't know what the meaning of the word vampire? I thought it'd be common knowledge here in Japan. She gives me a totally boneheaded answer. I take this opportunity to put some strength into my trembling limbs. During all the commotion, she moved away from the entrance to the alleyway. If I run as fast as I can, I might actually be able to escape this time. I take a deep breath and... Huh? Just as I'm about to make a run for it, I catch a sight of her face. This time, I really calmed down. Hey, what's the matter? Are you hurt somewhere? Am I hurt? As if. I can't even imagine how something that slow would be able to land a hit on me. Still, things have started to take a turn for the worse. Now that it's come to this, it seems I'll have to make you my shield whether you like it or not. What? That's right. She did mention something about that earlier. I thought it was only a figure of speech, but I'm not so optimistic anymore. This woman is seriously asking me to act as a shield against things like that Black Panther and those burning corpses. Don't be ridiculous, you idiot! You saw what just happened. What can I possibly do against that? Wouldn't you be way better off on your own? That's not true at all. As of right now, I really am completely drained. To use a human expression, I'm just barely hanging in there, or something like that. Is that so? It really doesn't seem that way to me. But I guess I'll take her word for it. I'm relieved to know the violence from earlier is not infinite, and that there is in fact a limit to her actions. Hold on. That's not what I should be thinking about right now. Hearing you say that you're barely hanging in there bothers me. I guess if there's anything I can actually do to help, I'll do it. But what can I do? I'm racking my brain, but I'm totally out of my depth. I'm not strong enough to drive off something like that. Sorry, but there's no way I can be your shield. Bullshit! You're the one who killed me. Why are you spouting these lies if you're able to pull off something like that? Killed you? That was a time when I don't even know what I was doing. If I can be useful, then I'll do whatever I can to help. But the standard of being useful here is way higher than normal. Alright then. How about you just keep an eye out for me while I'm asleep? You should at least be able to manage that, right? I don't know how I could say no to that look. I will help, because that's the route we're doing. There's no way that I can say I can't do it? That I can't do... Okay, sorry. There's no way that I can say I can't do it. I killed this person. As a result, she's weak and is asking for help. Plus, I've only talked with her for a little bit, but I get the feeling she's not a bad person. Well, what do you think? Or is it really impossible for a human like you to work together with a vampire like me? Of course it is. So you do get it after all. Come on, please don't give me that look. I'll feel so guilty that I won't be able to say no. But I've made my bed. Now I have to lie in it. My conscience wouldn't let me rest easy if I feigned ignorance about just what happened here. It's obvious that I'll regret this later. But even so... On top of that, your opponent is the man responsible for the serial killings, right? If he is, then as a resident of this city, it'd be remiss of me not to help you the best I can. Agreeing to help her is at least a little better than having to avert my eyes from her penetrating gaze. So then, that means... I'm not gonna be your shield, but I'll at least stand guard. Would you look at that? What's up with that face? She can die and come back to life, make a tornado with the wave of her hand, and now this. She really is the complete package. That's great! Sounds like we have ourselves a deal. The woman reaches her hand out to me. I can finally introduce myself. I'm Arcueid. Well, it's a bit of a long name, so you could just call me Arcueid. I'm from the true ancestor caste of vampires. What sort of human are you? I heave a sigh as I'm subjected to a self-introduction, unlike any I've ever heard before. I'm not entirely sure whether it's a sigh of exhausted resignation, or evidence that I've finally accepted this unbelievable situation. I'm Tohno Shiki. Sorry to disappoint you, but I'm just a student. I already mentioned this earlier, but I really am of no use to you. I take hold of the woman... of Arcueid's hand. She takes a long, hard look at me, And then, she asks me to shake hands with her. I look forward to working with you, Shiki. I'll be sure to have you take full responsibility for killing me back then. Arcueid smiles and holds out her left hand. I'm sure there are many ways to make amends in this world, but I'm probably both the first and last person to take responsibility by helping the very person I killed. Man, this really is insane. Still, there's nothing else I can do right now. I reluctantly hold out my left hand and shake hands with the woman in white who calls herself a vampire. Crazy. Let me just make sure my Twitch channel didn't just get copyright struck into oblivion from that. It seems they're still live. That's good. Just want to be sure. What is this place? A voice echoes in the darkness. The damp air. The eye-watering smell of something rotten. The darkness in which she can't see more than an inch ahead. Their combined weight turns her thoughts to mush. What the hell is this place? The girl can't remember what happened a few minutes ago. She can't even remember where she was. The girl vaguely remembers hearing the voices of men. She also remembers going down of her own free will. She's pretty sure she used an elevator. On the way down, it became clear to her that this was not some joke or some urban legend, but a truth about this city that she really shouldn't get involved in. When she realized that, she started frantically mashing the stop button. Where the hell am I? But that's all in the past now. To humans, time only flows in one direction. It is asymmetric. Because of that, there's no way to return to the past from the present. That's just the way it is. By the time she realized it, she was already deep in the heart of hell. Frightened by the darkness, she puts her hands on the wall. Sticky, festering juices cling to her fingers. It reeks of blood. It's soft. Even knowing that this splatter is the remains of human entrails, she crawls her fingers forward along the wall, crying. Because if she doesn't, she won't be able to move forwards. She won't be able to proceed into the darkness. She won't be able to escape the footsteps that have been following her for a while now. No. There's nothing she can do but scratch her face tight and walk on. Her hand raking over the viscera. With each step she takes, she hears fresh screams emanate from the walls, and the shuddering sound of something banging against metal. More screams. Hey, are you human? Hey, don't go! Don't leave me! Mommy? Mommy? Let me out! Let me out! Let me out! Let me out! More screams. She can't believe the voices come from members of her own species. The screams are so visceral that they must be tearing their throats and lungs apart. They continue to call out, as though they don't care about the damage it causes them. but their bodies are already beyond help. Without limbs, they hang from the ceiling like bagworm moths. No, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. She runs away, ignoring the pleas of those who are already done for. Light. A lamp. She wants a lamp more than anything right now, because if she had one, she'd be able to escape. The men who guided her here had snickered that there was a goal. In that case, there must have been an exit somewhere. She keeps nervously looking back over her shoulder. It suddenly occurred to her that she didn't come here alone. I must have come here with my lover. That stupid man had brought this up. That's why I said I'd give it a try, just for fun. It's all his fault. I hope he dies. I hope he dies soon. Let him die before me, and then I'll be alive. I'm the only one who's gonna make it, because I'm special. I've done nothing wrong. There's no reason for this to happen to me. This kind of thing is reserved for people who are dumber and more vulgar than I, or more fortunate and lucky than me. It's got nothing to do with me. I'm not involved. I've lived virtuously. I've lived a pretty normal life so far. I'm gonna continue to live a pretty normal life. So it should be someone else who has to go through this. The dim light vanishes. Darkness fills the room. And within it, she can see that she's on fire. What's this? My hands are crumbling like ashes. The arm she had stretched out to touch the wall has already ceased to exist below the elbow. She looks down at her body in a panic. Her clothes have long since burned away. Her skin is charred. Her internal organs and flesh exposed. The fats in her flesh are burning a deep, deep red that's almost captivating to look at. She laughs in relief. After all, she finally has a light. I'm on fire. This is amazing. Look, I'm on fire. I'm on fire. An anatomical model of a human being laughing loudly. A human torch illuminating the darkness. And then a single piercing blow of mercy. Save me. She burns up, spewing out boiling blood. He drinks her fresh blood, as if to savor that warmth. Hell falls back into darkness. Finishing his pittance of a meal, he walks across a hell that is absent of its master. Behind him are countless corpses. The people who wandered into this cemetery, and the dead who used to inhabit it, are all reduced to ashes by that river of flame. It's cold here. Even his breath forms clouds that hang in the air, leaving behind a red trail like a slug. He slowly trudges toward the surface. The heart of the true ancestor shall be mine. He must go and hunt down the mouth-watering prey that his underlings have just discovered. Just a second.
All right.
Shut up. Okay. Where were we? Okay. I'm not sure who's talking. Yeah, this is a pretty nice room. I don't think anyone could complain about spending a night in here. Arcueid happily looks around the hotel room. I'm left speechless by this turn of events. So, what do you want me to do specifically? Let's start by getting out of here. Let's see. My room probably isn't the best place to hole up. Aha! How about we head somewhere that's higher up and has a better view? And so, here we are. Arcueid flagged down a taxi on the main street, and we took it to the next town over. She checked us into a room at one of the most expensive hotels in the area. Well, I say room. She actually booked out the entire top floor. It was like she's a celebrity. Wow, it's so tall! Human architecture really is advancing, but at a remarkable pace. What's the phrase people use for this again? Pedal to the metal? Or wait, is it progress marches on? Well, it doesn't really matter. Oh, look it over there! Shiki! The alleyway we were just in is so tiny now. Arcueid has opened a small gap for herself in the curtains, and seems to be having fun looking at the scenery through the window. I'm by no means in the mood for this. This place isn't a hotel room so much as a fortress that happens to have been built upon top of a hotel. The blackout curtains, the furniture that decorates the room, and even the materials used for the walls and doors are significantly more luxurious and sturdy than the ones you'd find in your average hotel. Since we've rented out the entire top floor, no other guests will come up here. This room even has a monitor that shows what's happening in the lobby on the first floor. I'm struck once again by how the pedigreed people that use hotel rooms like this are like a totally different breed to the rest of us. Shiki, you live in a mansion. Let's hide out here tonight. Oh, and don't worry about the hotel fee. I'm rich, so I'll treat you. Speaking cheerfully, Arcueid pulls away from the window. She said it was a great lookout spot, but it appears she's already tired of the bird's eye view of the city. Arcueid, what on earth are you thinking? I let out a sigh. What do you mean? I'm thinking about a lot of things. No, that's not the point. I mean, sharing a hotel room with a man... I was about to say something, but I stop. My role here is just to be a lookout for this self-proclaimed vampire. I don't have to say anything superfluous. No, it's fine. Do what you want. You're a weird one, Shiki. You're so unpredictable, getting angry all of a sudden and then going silent. I'm not sure what's so funny, but Arcueid is laughing. Meanwhile, I'm standing right next to the door, still very much on edge, keeping a watchful eye over the entire room. I'm the complete opposite of the relaxed Arcueid. I'm exhausted and desperately want to rest, but if I were to sit down on the sofa now, I can all but guarantee I'd be out like a light. No matter how desperate I get, I can't allow myself to become that defenseless. Shiki, do you want something to drink? It looks like there's a whole bunch to choose from here. I hear a carefree voice coming from over by the minibar. Needless to say, the bottle in Arcueid's hand is some form of alcohol. Who's talking right now? Look here. Why are you pushing alcohol when you're under it? I bite my tongue mid-sentence. I'm not actually sure whether she's underage or not. I don't care to know, though, so I'm not about to ask. I'll pick out something myself later. more importantly, no matter how tired or bewildered I am, there's something I have to clear up. What is this woman in front of me? In other words, how dangerous is the situation I'm in right now? Even if the answer defies common sense, I can't sit down and relax on the couch without first trying to understand things as best I can. More importantly, there's something I need to ask you. I can't sit back and relax until I do. I don't mind, but what's the matter? You're acting very serious all of a sudden. Well, of course I seem serious. I haven't let my guard down for even a second since I ran into you. Anyway, that aside, this is important. At the end of the day, what are you really trying to accomplish? Me? I'm just chasing after that vampire. Eliminating vampires is my duty, after all. Yeah, I seem to recall you saying that earlier. But you're a vampire too, aren't you? What? Are you saying that you still don't believe me, Shiki? Relax. I don't like it, but I believe you. What I'm trying to say is, why would a vampire like yourself be going out killing other vampires? It doesn't make any logical sense. Excuse me. Oh, so you don't like it when members of the same species kill each other? I'd prefer it if they didn't kill members of other species either. But look, vampires are demons that suck the blood of humans, right? Then shouldn't your target be humans and not other vampires? Wouldn't the people you kill be... you know... If it's blood you're after, then wouldn't it make more sense to target humans? The act of sucking blood and the act of killing are two different things. Still, I understand what you're getting at. You're saying that we should help each other because we're the same species, right? However, even though vampires are all derived from the same greater origin, each one is a unique species that has evolved differently from all the others. We don't have the same sense of fellowship that humans do. Huh? So, does that mean the vampire that you're looking for is different from you? Yeah, it's a different species of bloodsucker from me. The vampire I'm chasing is a dead apostle. So they're more in line with the image you have of what a vampire is. They suck human blood and convert the people they kill into familiars to gradually increase their power. You remember those burning dead from this morning? Let me try that again. You remember those burning dead from this morning, right? That's what happens to people killed by vampires. Even though they're dead as humans, they cannot truly fully die and continue living as the dead. They're dead, but they're still alive? The corpses that appeared in the alleyway, according to the legends about vampires, people whose blood has been sucked become new vampires and attack people. As they keep doing this and growing their numbers, they eventually turn the entire village into a land of death, or so it goes. Yes, that's the kind of vampire that lurks in the city. I've no interest in sucking blood, and I'm no ally of theirs. As such, I've no problem with killing these other vampires. Arcueid says this matter-of-factly. It appears that there are many different types of vampires. I'm starting to feel a bit shaken by all this. So you're telling me the reason you told me to become your shield was so you could kill them? Oh, I'm sorry, I thought that was monologuing. Well, whatever. Yes, that was my intention at first. I was planning on using you as a shield whether you liked it or not. If you tried to run away, I would have bound you with my mystic eyes and run you into the ground through the power of overwhelming fear.
But as I was talking to you, I started to change my mind.
So she was planning to use force from the beginning. Okay. I'll have to make sure to remember that. You changed your mind. Why?
I guess because I was wrong about you. You know what, Shiki? I spent the entire time between when you killed me and when I revived under the impression that you were a member of the church. If you had been, there was a chance you might have known where the enemy was, and I'd have been able to count on you as a force to be reckoned with. But you ended up being a completely ordinary person. You didn't even know the first thing about vampires, let alone the location of the enemy's coffin. Yeah, there's no way they'd send an executor to an atheist country like this in the first place. Not to mention that they wouldn't be operating alone. Their policy is to always move in master-disciple pairs, after all.
Arcueid is off mumbling to herself. The conversation seems to have gone off the rails a bit, but I'm just happy to not be the subject anymore.
All that to say, you're not the one I'm after anymore. I'm back to chasing my original prey. Which is kind of a bummer, I guess.
Her voice is sprightly, but her words are disturbing. Damn. This woman still has it out for me, doesn't she? Even though it's natural for her to hate me after what I did, it's not good for my heart to hear her say, "I want to kill you," with a smile. Seems like she really is planning on killing me the moment I let my guard down.
Are we done with the serious stuff? Well then, time for bed.
And then, with a spring in her step, she strolls over to the bed and flops down onto it.
This feels pretty good, so I'll sleep until the sun goes down. Shiki, you should also get some rest while you can. Vampires can't be active during the day, so we don't need you to be on lookout until nightfall.
You do understand that you've just said something that negates your entire existence, right?
It doesn't bother me. I think I've reached my limit. Well then, good night, Shiki. Wake me up when the sun goes down, okay? Hey!
Arcueid suddenly falls asleep, like a car that's had its engine turned off. Seriously? Unbelievable. She's really asleep. I feel like an idiot for spending the entire time hovering by the door in case I needed to make a run for it. Is this okay? I know it's not okay for me to say, but is she really fine with this? I was dragged here more or less against my will. I could easily make my escape right now. No. What's more, even though I don't have the same urges I had back then, I've already killed you once, you know. How is this woman still able to fall asleep so carelessly? I stare at Arcueid's face. Judging by the gentle rise and fall of her well-rounded chest, it seems she's still breathing. She lies on the bed, her body perfectly still. She looks like a work of art in repose. Softly closed eyelids, long eyelashes, and pretty lips that look vibrant even without lipstick. The swell of her chest is very shapely. The line of her hips is like a hill disappearing into the horizon. Her smooth and slender legs are stretched out across the bed. Demure, yet sensual. Such contradictory words come to my mind. A woman like that is fast asleep and defenseless in this royal suite. I've only known her for a short time, and yet she trusts me, the person who brutally killed her, from the bottom of her heart. She really is an idiot, isn't she? Yeah. She's so stupidly honest, it's enough to make you worry for her. In any case, this is a critical juncture. This may be the final crossroads, where Tohno Shiki has a chance to turn back. She said, "I'll have you be my shield." But I've had enough of this madness. I'll run away. I won't lose my way again. I'll stay. Good guy time. Let's go. I made a promise after all. That's right. I've already made a promise. No matter what happens, I don't think I should break it. Arcueid is sleeping. She may not look it at all, but she said she's weak right now. She also said she was at her limit earlier. In truth, I haven't had a chance yet to think about what I'll do from here, whether I should run or stay. The atmosphere has fallen completely silent. She and I aren't just the only two people in the room, but on the entire floor. I'll put aside for now the question of whether it's rude to count a self-proclaimed vampire as a person. What am I saying? She's the rude one here, dumbass. I'm giving myself a hard time. After everything that's happened between this morning's game of tag and now, my body and mind are so exhausted that they aren't even functioning properly. First things first. I need to calm down a bit. I think it's finally time I take a seat, so I leave my position by the door. I sit down on one of the tall chairs by the minibar. I retrieve a bottle of spring water from the refrigerator, pour it into the glass, and take a few sips. All right. My mood has cleared up a little, thanks to the cool water. My head is still reeling from all the unbelievable things that have happened since this morning. But I'm going to stay calm, think things over, and decide what I'm going to do from here. Seriously? This is the second time I've said that today. The first time was directed toward Arcueid, but this time it's directed at myself. I can't concentrate because I can hear the sound of a sleeping woman's breathing. Just how dissolute can I get? Why am I getting so excited about her now, of all times? I've just got to get out of here for a bit. This is probably because I haven't gotten over the fear I felt in the alleyway. I'm sure if I go out into the hallway and take a breather, I'll be able to dispel this strange fever. Dude, can you imagine if Tsukihime rhymed, like, in its entirety? That'd be so fucking based. Holy shit. We're really renting it all? There are no employees on the top floor, let alone other guests. The room Arcueid's in is a corner room, right at the end of the hallway. It has the best view, but understandably, it also has a long way from the elevator hall. Oh shoot, school! It's a little after 11 o'clock. This isn't the sort of truancy you can just talk your way out of. If the school contacts the mansion, it'll be game over for me. But I can't do much about that now. I wonder what sort of scolding Akiha would have in store for me. No. There's no use thinking about something I can't change.
It's a long shot, but I'll send a text to Arihiko. Feel bad today. Skipping. Help me out if you can. I dash out a rough explanation of the situation and make a request to my close friend. I'm not asking him to force it, but just slip something in if the opportunity presents itself. I wish I could tell him more about the situation, but... no. Scratch that. He'd just call an ambulance on me. If he were to ask if I had finally lost it, I'd be completely unable to make a rebuttal. This much is more than enough for a guy like him. Now then. Thinking about this familiar face has calmed me down. Resigning myself to my fate, I've returned to the room where the self-proclaimed vampire is sleeping. Pardon the intrusion. I know I won't get a reply, but I can't resist the force of habit. The woman in white is still sleeping on the bed, her appearance entirely unchanged from earlier. She doesn't give the impression of someone in danger at all. If I didn't know the context, I'd have thought she's a princess from some foreign country. I sit down on the sofa, which I'd so far avoided since I was afraid I'd never be able to get back up again. However, the sofa is the only place where I can keep an eye on both the bed and the door at the same time. As I feared, the sofa is incredibly comfortable. I feel like I'm going to melt, but I must keep watch. I've got to steel myself and stay on guard while she sleeps. Still, looking at her like this, she really is nightmarishly beautiful. Her white, smooth-looking skin, her each and every finger a work of art, the gentle curve of her body. The overall portrait is flawless, and the shape of every little detail is without peer. Never before have I seen such a perfectly sculpted figure. No, to be more precise, I never thought I would see something like this in my lifetime. I look up at the ceiling in contemplation. If you put aside the fact that she came back to life after I killed her, and that she claims to be a vampire, then, at the end of the day, Arcueid is an existence that speaks human language and has the form of a human being. If she's too weak to take care of things on her own, then that responsibility falls to me. You have to take responsibility for your own actions. Even at a time like this, I'm reminded of the lessons from my childhood. I seem to remember Sensei telling me something. That because I have strange eyes, I attract strange things as a result. If that's the case, I'd better be prepared for anything. But for starters, I need to protect her tonight as best I can, just as I promised. White. What's up, Warren? How you doing? A dazzling white. The color evokes nostalgic memories. A hot summer day. Uh-oh, this dream, huh? A blue sky with huge, towering, cumulonimbus clouds. There we go. Haven't seen that word in a while. The landscape shimmers in the heat.
The cries of the cicadas make me feel faint. The sound of cicadas. Both my hands are a glossy red, as though they've been splashed with paint. See, what's great about this is that they actually have cicada sound effects, so I don't have to say chirp, chirp, chirp. So cool. Okay. The husks of cicadas litter the open ground. This space is slowly being burned away, as though the sun is right on top of us. A hot day in the middle of summer. It's as if the world had turned into a frying pan. The sound of crying. Akia is crying. Akia, who had always meekly trailed after me, is overflowing with tears. Apart from Akia, there's one other child lying on the ground. The sun's rays bounce across my slick hands. These hands are cold. The collapsed child is cold. The blood spilling out is red. It's warm. Shiki. The adults have arrived. The collapsed child is dead. The adults are screaming. They shout at me, demanding to know if I killed him. Even by the standards of something as ephemeral as a dream, the vision I just witnessed was something long gone from my memory.
Shiki, come on, wake up. The sun has already gone down.
My body is being shaken violently. I can hear an unfamiliar voice, and there's a cold hand on my shoulder. Arcueid is right in front of me. It's pitch black outside the window. I check my watch and see that it's around 8 o'clock in the evening.
What do you mean, huh? I told you to wake me up when the sun goes down. But you just went and fell asleep.
Sorry. I guess I couldn't keep my eyes open. How pathetic. I can't believe I fell asleep while staring at Arcueid's sleeping face.
Seriously? That's totally disqualifying behavior for a guard. I can't believe we were both asleep. You realize if we'd been attacked during our sleep, you and I both would be dead, right?
Alright, I've said I'm sorry, jeez. Also, hold on. Weren't you the one that said you were safe during the day?
You can never know for sure. They could have sent familiars like the ones from this morning after us.
Arcueid is angry. Of course, it's entirely my fault. If I fall asleep while I'm supposed to be standing guard, I'm no more useful than a scarecrow.
Also, I'm a vampire, you know, Shiki. How come you were able to just fall asleep like you aren't even afraid of me? Couldn't you at least have been a little too nervous to close your eyes? Struck by terrible awe? Or something along those lines?
Alright. Maybe entirely my fault is taking it a bit too far. This woman actually seems more upset by the fact that I was able to sleep around her than the fact that I wasn't on guard duty.
I wake up after regaining a little of my strength, only to find you happily snoozing away. You had your guard down so much that I was seriously starting to worry that I don't appear much of a bloodsucker at all.
What are you on about? You were just as vulnerable as I was. I've already killed you once, remember? You didn't have any guarantee that I won't do it again. But there you were, sound asleep like a princess. Don't underestimate me just because I'm human. I snap back at her, reminding her that a cornered rat can still bite a cat. It was a pretty desperate attempt at an excuse. As you can see, Arcueid is shocked. It's as if she's only now considered that possibility.
I guess you're right, now that you mention it. I wonder why. I guess I just felt like I could trust you after talking to you in the back alley.
Well, it's not like that's bad or anything. I see. If you also... excuse me. If you really trust me that much, then I'll also make an effort. All I have to do now is keep an eye out, right?
Yeah, at least until sun comes down.
Up. Whoops.
You know what I meant. I won't be leaving this room, so I want you to be on guard against anyone that comes to this floor.
Right. You say on guard, but it's not as though I'll be much use. Oh boy. What time is it? 6:40? Okay. We'll go for another 20 minutes, I think. You say on guard, but it's not as though I'll be of much use if something like the Black Panther from this morning appears. I'm painfully aware that this sort of responsibility is well beyond my capabilities, and simply saying, "Roger that," isn't going to make me fit for guard duty. Let's step back for a second and examine what we know before going any further. We need to have some way of dealing with things like the Black Panther or the burning corpses, but I still don't know very much about Arcueid or her enemies. I'd like to confirm something, Arcueid. Those things that attacked us in the alleyway, were they sent by your enemy?
I wouldn't say they were sent by him so much as they were on patrol. Their role was probably to follow a certain route in order to monitor the city. Since we happen to be chatting at a location along their patrol route, my presence here has been discovered.
Discovered? As in by your enemy?
Yep. If I'd been in perfect condition, this would have saved me a lot of trouble. But with things as they are, there's a chance they could defeat me instead. That's why we ran all the way here. If they attack me before I regain my strength, there'll be nothing I can do.
So in other words, Arcueid's enemy, the serial killer wreaking havoc in the city, is another vampire just like her. Based on this conversation, it sounds like these two vampires are searching for each other's whereabouts. However, they aren't on equal footing. Because at that moment, Arcueid is... because at the moment, Arcueid is critically weakened. Plus, this enemy has subordinates to do their dirty work for them. But you, on the other hand, have no one to rely on. Is that right? Grumbles Arcueid, as she scowls in dissatisfaction. Judging by her lack of reply, I guess she really is alone. Well, nothing for me to complain about, at least. You said before that vampires are all different. So is this one of the differences? If it is, what's the proper name for a vampire that has many allies?
That's... what's the easiest way to explain this?
Arcueid casts her eyes around the room as she tries to think of something. It seems like she's not used to talking to people. It's fine. You can do it the difficult way. Anything you can tell me would be useful. So just say what's on your mind. I don't really know what's going on, but I'll try to follow along as best I can.
Really? Thanks a lot, Shiki.
Right, sure. No need for thanks, just keep going. Okay, murmurs Arcueid, as she nods meekly.
Vampires with tons of allies are kind of like a broad category. But the dead apostle that lurks in the city belongs to a more traditional class of vampire.
Oh no. Where did she find that?
To borrow church terminology, this vampire is a suzerain. Suzerains invade towns and villages through a series of stages.
Okay, can I just say real quick that I'm assuming, I might be wrong about this, but I'm assuming all these graphics right now were completely redone by Tsukihimates. And that's fucking insane. That's so cool. Kudos to them. Support that group in any way you can. This is amazing.
For starters, we have stage 1. The vampire first picks out humans with outstanding abilities, and then turns them into their underlings by sucking their blood. Humans that have their blood sucked by the vampire die and become puppets of the suzerain, though they still retain their personality they had when they were human. In other words, a corpse that retains its sense of self. In Dead Apostle rank terms, these undead are the 3rd lowest tier, about equal to a high-grade familiar.
Great. She's only just gotten started and I'm already lost. Well, I managed to get some sleep as well, so at least my head is clear. I'm just gonna skip over the words I don't understand, and ask about the parts that I do. A corpse that retains its sense of self. Does that mean they're vampires that are still human?
Maybe I shouldn't refer to rank 3s as vampires. Their bodies are superhuman, sure, but they can't create their own offspring. It's best to think of them as a sort of leader class for the lower ranked workers.
Then what about those things that appeared in the alleyway?
Those things are one step below. Rank 2, ghouls. They're basically just workers who can't do much more than follow orders, let alone pass as human.
Arcueid seems to have gotten really into it, and starts explaining the various vampire stages using a diagram. This woman sure is strangely versatile.
Once the vampire has made a certain number of the townspeople into their underlings, they prepare themselves a coffin and go to sleep. Suzerains can't go out and about during the day, since their presence alone would draw attention. Instead, it's up to their underlings to stockpile food and expand their influence. And so, rank 3 underlings and above blend in with society and gradually start preying on other humans. Human flesh and blood are the underlings' source of nutrition too, but most of it is sent to the suzerain. As they sleep in their coffin, the suzerain accumulates power, eventually turning the entire community into their own flesh and blood. That is the nature of the vampire that lurks in this city. Right now, they don't have that many underlings, and they aren't all that threatening. Still, as the number of victims increases, so too does the power of the suzerain. I was hoping to find their coffin and kill them before that could happen, but I still have yet to locate the enemy's resting place. They'd never hidden themselves this well before. I can't even feel their presence. If I could only find out where they're sleeping, dealing with this vampire would be a piece of cake. I didn't have any leads this time, so I had no choice but to walk around the city during the day to investigate. And while I was out and about, I got killed by a passing murderer. What a pickle.
She claps her hands together, smiling at me. Glasses Knife Man Kya. That is funny. It seems she's taking a dig at said murderer. It doesn't feel great. I see. I think I'm starting to get the picture. So, a monster who preys on humans has built a nest in this city, and you came here to exterminate it. But while you were looking for its hiding place, that's when you were, well, attacked by me. Meaning you're so weak now that you have to stay hidden while you recover. Did I get that right?
Yeah, I guess that about sums it up.
The next question, then. Why would the enemy go through all this trouble in the first place? Wouldn't it be easier to just do it yourself without creating all these underlings?
To put it simply, they're weak. No matter how great their superpowers, no matter how their scale of existence, their life scale, a vampire cannot survive on their own. They have so many weaknesses that they can never stay above the surface for long. That's why they stay in their safe zone and collect blood by using humans as familiars. Humans might be frail, but at least they don't have many weaknesses. Basically, they're just being risk-adverse.
A lot of weaknesses. Such as what?
Sunlight and running out of magical energy are two of the big ones. As for their biggest weakness, well, they just have a lot of enemies, I guess.
They have a lot of enemies? You mean people like you?
I'm an exception. Or should I say, a special case. You see, humans hate vampires. The greatest weapons humans have at their disposal are their numbers and the way they cooperate, right? So yeah, there actually do exist people who've made it their sole purpose to kill vampires, and they tend to come running whenever a vampire incident occurs somewhere in the world. Most insidious and tenacious of all when it comes to this is the Church. Heresy hunters from a religion based in Western Europe. They claim their purpose is to execute the Lord's will by human hands. So, naturally, they're called executors. These people have spent hundreds of years refining their dead apostle-slaying techniques. They're way more of a nuisance than some lowly vampire. That's why vampires try to lay low for a while. If they had to deal with the Church all the time, they wouldn't be able to gather enough blood. Plus, more importantly, they'd run the risk of being sealed.
Heresy hunters of the Church. I guess it's kind of like the witch hunters and inquisitors from the Middle Ages. These hunters must be real anti-vampire specialists if the vampires feel the need to go into hiding. Still, lay low for a while. Then does that mean there's no need for them to hide once they've collected a lot of blood?
That's right. Once they're strong enough, there's no need for them to hide anymore. At that point, even if the executors were to show up, it'd be too late. The vampire would use the power they've accumulated in that city to wreak as much havoc as they possibly could. Then, once they've completely devoured the city, they move on and find a new hunting ground. If you humans want to exterminate vampires, you need to notice these incidents before they happen. By the time vampiric activity is visibly evident, that city will already be rotten to the core. I'm sorry for putting it like this, Shiki, but with this many underlings already roaming around, this city's at a point where you humans can't do much about it anymore.
Arcueid's explanation goes in through one ear and out the other. I understand what she's saying, but accepting it is a whole different story. Even if she says it's too late to save our city, there's no way I could just say, oh, okay, and accept it like that. And besides... yeah, I can't really believe any of this.
What, are you saying that I'm lying to you?
No, that's not it. I know that everything you just said was true. You're not the type to lie, right?
Of course I'm not. I've no use for lies.
Like I said, it's not that I don't believe you. It's that I don't get these so-called vampires. You keep repeating the word vampire, but it still doesn't make sense. I know you're not human. That I'm confident of. But even so, they still don't feel all that real to me, intuitively speaking.
I guess I see where you're coming from. The way you see vampires is extremely different from how I see them.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. It's not a question of whether they're real or not. It's more that I can't imagine what they're like. You say stuff like, traditional class, and I'm already lost. I don't even know what the difference between you and them, I don't even know the difference between you and them. Yeah, we're just gonna stop, like, smack dab in the middle of her fucking explanation. These chapters are getting real long, man. It used to be that, like, I could do, like 2 hours would just be, like, a whole chapter in the original Tsukihime, and then I could just stop there and then just do the next chapter. And it would be a lot easier to segment my, playthrough. But now it's just, like, it just goes on and on. But it's cool. A lot of this is basically pretty similar to how things happened in the original Tsukihime. But, first of all, she didn't have a fucking, what do you call it? She didn't have a marker board on hand. That's kind of silly. It's kind of silly that a luxury suite just has a marker board randomly. Like a teacher could afford to rent that and just left it there. What the fuck? But I guess it's handy, you know. And I think there's a couple things that they changed in terms of, like, the lore from the original. So one big one is the way the burial agency or the executors work. Arcueid mentioned that there needs to be, there's like a rule of 2, so there has to be a disciple and a master or something. That wasn't that way. It wasn't like that in the original. In the original, it was literally just Seal acting on her own. So I'm already, because I play Melty Blood, I'm already aware that there are characters like Noelle, obviously, and characters like Mario, and possibly more. So, it makes sense that they would add a little extra thing to the lore to justify that. Just for the sake of having more characters to make the story more interesting. And have more characters to talk to and bounce off of. So, it's all good. It's all good. Other than that, I think the explanation of vampires is mostly the same, but it's a little easier to keep track of because of the marker board, I guess. And again, super huge shout out to Tsukihimates for not just translating the text, but going all out to do basically a full localization. Like, they put subtitles on the opening. They put I assume the original marker board was in Japanese, and they edited the text to they actually did graphic changes. So that's super cool that a group was able to do that, just out of pure passion for the series. That is absolutely amazing, and huge shout outs to them. I can't wait to see what they do in the future. It's my understanding that they're working on the Seal route, and that's going to be awesome. So, yeah. Anyway, so if you're watching the VOD, thank you for making it this far. If you're watching live, thank you very much for showing up. Oren, thank you for commenting. Subscribe to my YouTube channel at youtube.com/BerserkChip, where I upload dramatic readings and other fighting game content. Follow my Twitter at twitter.com/BerserkChip, where I post highlights from previous streams and schedule updates so you know when I'm going live next. Obviously, follow me at twitch.tv/BerserkChip. That's BerserkChip with 2 P's, because I forgot the password to my previous account. I do dramatic readings, I do fighting game stuff, I do funny memes, I do all kinds of stuff. But dramatic readings are primarily what I've been focusing on recently. We will obviously continue with Tsukihime. Oh, and also, if you're watching the VOD on YouTube, please leave a comment. Please, any feedback, anything you thought was funny, anything you thought was interesting, any like timestamps you thought was intriguing. I always love to read these. I see that there's a growing number of views, but I don't see any engagement, so I would love to see some comments. So, having said all of that, thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next time.